Okay. Alright, where is the good carbon, if there is any? Let's start with that. Alright, good carbon over here. Shoot, that's actually super, super good carbon, potentially. I'm almost tempted to found scav right now. Let's check the iron plots, though. Alright. Yeah, I'm really feeling the scav this game. It's far away from silicon, which is the primary concern, but it's definitely usable still. And I haven't played much scavenger lately. So we'll see if I can make that work. If not, if somebody founds before I get there, this area should work just fine in general. I should be able to find somewhere in here to use. Alright, Bradbury went science. Wells going expansive over in that corner. We'll wait a little bit longer on the debt. Not too much, but a little bit. We could just wait for 0 debt, I suppose. But I really do want this scav spot, so... yeah, that'll work. There we are.
Robotic colony founded.
And now we're ready. We're all set. Good to go. Actually, I should really sell all my carbon at first until everybody's founded. That way they'll sell their carbon, and then I can buy that up. Should be the basic idea. So hopefully, carbon will come down in price since everybody starts with 20, generally. And then I can buy up that carbon, or see, there it goes. It goes down to 18. So I shouldn't have been buying carbon that whole time. I don't even know if I should have bought aluminum, realistically. But usually that's okay. Usually you can get away with that all right. I'm tempted to go quite heavily into aluminum this game, because I'm kind of foregoing silicon, which is a bit awkward, but basically what I think I need to do because of where I've put myself this game. So that would mean, like, even going aluminum, and then just the water pump here, and trying to make that work, and just pushing to HQ level 3 mega fast. I'm going to see if I can make that happen. It's a bit dangerous, but aluminum should be worth it for the time being. Like, aluminum is pretty valuable, and people will be upgrading, so hopefully it'll work out. Just buy all the glass we can, though. This is the downside to being scavenger in the early game, especially on a big map like this. You do not have anything bringing in money. At least not like this scientific player does, right? His steel mills are incredible compared to your carbon. You can't really construct steel mills long term. It would just be a bad idea. We have a little bit of carbon secured. It looks like some of these guys... oh wow, Niven is actually pulling in carbon as well. That hurts. That hurts us quite badly, actually. We'll go for 28,000 for the geotherm. Geotherm should be fairly simple for us to establish, considering it takes, well, carbon and aluminum, and we've got that in spades. But Clark's going to bid it up to 32, and I don't know if we want to press past there. Unfortunately, Clark also going for a lot of aluminum this game, so that's going to be actually a lot of aluminum being taken up in general this game. So we're going to have to just hope that the play works out for us. Just selling it as fast as we can, trying to get into this glass, having to totally ignore the black market this game. Let's see if we can make this work. Alright. There we are. Got all of the glass we need. Now we're just waiting for the upgrade. Nobody really killed themselves with debt this game, so we don't need to worry about making a whole lot of money too fast. We kind of just want to get to the point where we can get some farms down after upgrading, I think, if possible. But that might not be an option, and we might just have to settle for the reactors that are easier to get into, because glass is just a bit too expensive. Alright, expansive colony expanded. He's going into steel, that's fine. We want plenty of carbon to upgrade and then throw down buildings, so we're waiting. That's why we're waiting. Don't think I can afford... yeah, it would take 3,000 basically for me to get the glass I would need. So I'm just going to ignore it and go into reactors instead. Nobody else is in them yet. That should be good enough. Let's get it done. We can always also just transition this aluminum later. We can transition it into glass very easily. Try and make that work. And that could be just fine. We could also just transition it into power before long. So if we want to, we can go ahead and start securing the silicon we're going to need for that. Hopefully the reactors will give us enough as well. And go very heavily into power very soon as an option. The scientific players moving into glass. No big surprise. A bit risky if pirates come down, though. Just making sure we can buy up all this silicon. Other people making some amount of silicon, but not a ridiculous amount, and I really do want to make this transition as fast as possible. I guess we could sell down for the moment, but it's a bit dangerous, because I really want to push into this power before long. Alright, let's go ahead and scrap. That was the wrong way to do that, but whatever. Can I make another one? And it costs 4,000 if I want to do it. That's a bit much. Let's just grab a goon squad instead. I should have kept the high aluminum, obviously, but aluminum's worth basically nothing, which was the plan. It wasn't planned for it to happen that fast, though. That threw me off just a bit. Alright. I think we can get that last one down. Nighttime's on the way, unfortunately, so I think we'll leave it as is for now, but see if we can make this work. Carbon's doing just fine compared to the way it usually works, so that's all good. We can get into glass enough to upgrade fairly easily. We have the aluminum we need to upgrade, so we're still doing okay overall. I think we're still doing alright. We're not comfortable, but we're not out of it. We can get this claim or let it go, I think, because we're trying to get into significant amounts of power, is the basic idea. We want to get into a lot of power, and so if we can get this claim for 28, I'll take it. If not, that's okay. That's okay if not. I'm not going to worry about it. We want to try and get into food. This expansive player is already in food, but food's really good, and the scientific player isn't in it yet. He went into glass, and so food's what we want to try and get into once we've upgraded. So we're going to need extra glass in order to do that. We also want enough silicon to go ahead and establish another solar panel. These are all just considerations we have to be thinking about right now. We could just go into some food now. Just one farm. It will stop our debt from accumulating, but it doesn't do much more than that yet. Let's go ahead and upgrade. Get into these farms. Make sure we've got plenty of them down. We'll want a goon squad to go along with them again. Make sure we're going to be okay. And we also are going to want, I think, a little more water, because we're consuming a lot. Everybody else is going to start consuming a lot because food is always good. And reactors always start off at least okay. So we're going to make that happen. That should all be fine. Then we got to get into this last solar panel. Pretty much as soon as we can at this point. Which should be fairly doable. And of course, we're still sitting on a fairly large stockpile of aluminum, which has gotten significantly more valuable. And we can always move into it later if we absolutely have to. I don't know if I want to buy glass at this point. These should be sending fairly soon, one would think. I can't tell how much is in there. There should be some in there at least. Unless he's still sending out the oxygen and there just don't have any in there right now. Make sure we've got enough water. We can go ahead and maybe get into a little more water, but that's risky, and I think the engineering lab is going to be the stronger play for the time being. Go ahead and sell down some of that aluminums to make sure we can get that done. Would love a new claim. Given that that's not looking possible, let's just grab a power surge for later. Make sure we're using that black market. Or we could also just power surge right now, because Wells is in some pretty good stuff that we are also trying to make, and we don't want him to be doing that. Another option is to do something like nuke out his water. We're still actually leaking water right now. I'm tempted, I'm thinking it might be time to get out of these reactors and on in toward electronics, maybe. Unfortunately, we got unlucky on the bounce there, but oh well, take what you can get, I suppose. In this game, this is kind of what happens when I go into power most of the time, unfortunately. Things don't go all that well. So I'm thinking we'll go chems. And we'll start upgrading our electronics production while we're going chems. Alright. Glass is coming down, which is good. We'll be able to push to an upgrade a little bit more easily. Yeah, reduced power consumption sounds kind of nice. We'll go for that. Okay. We could also just go for a Clark buy, which is something that's possible to shoot for. The chems should be making decent money once they're online. The farms are going to be making decent money once they're online. This doesn't really hurt us pushing to the buy at all if we get it, but it does certainly make that Clark buy easier if we let him take it, so that's probably the right call here. Water's come back down quite quickly. Let's go ahead and grab an EMP. Wow, Wells actually going to take that for 24. Interesting. And this got mutinied away. This feels kind of rude if we do it, but we'll just go with what we can to actually win the game, I guess. And this power, I'm wondering if we should transition away from soon. Might be better off as aluminum. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for at least some of it. Move back into that. Aluminum's quite valuable. We kind of want to get to an upgrade as well, because an upgrade would be fairly cheap and easy to accomplish. So I'm thinking that's the right call. Could get a claim. Don't know. Do I really want a claim? A claim is nice. I can use a claim, but I think I can use an upgrade a bit better if I can push to it quickly. But, we'll take a claim. We can make it work. And just go into a little bit of extra food with that. Yeah, look at that glass price. How excellent is that for us? Alright, let's make sure we've got exactly enough. We're just waiting on aluminum at this point, and carbon, interestingly enough. Gonna want to upgrade electronics again, I'm thinking. We'll probably transition our chems into our electronics later, is the whole thought process there. Niven is starting to move in after a buy. Very aggressive moves out of Niven over here. He's actually doing quite well for himself with his food and his water. So we're going to slow him down. Because we want that buy. We don't want to let him have that buy. But we want an upgrade first. We've already committed that direction. We want to try and make that happen. Sell down stuff. There we go. There's our upgrade. Let's go ahead and just move into some reactors. We're up against this cliff here, which is causing some problems, but we did that to ourselves, so we can't really complain about it. Let's just go into some reactors right up here. And some carbon over here was the basic plan. We'll get one more reactor down. Go ahead and head into one more electronics upgrade. And the chems are probably... yeah, the chems aren't doing so hot. So we'll go ahead and start making this transition to electronics, and then see if we can get that Clark buy done. And then let's get out of our power that we don't really need all that badly and get into a little more aluminum, because that's going to be driven up by this electronics issue we've got going on. And then one more claim available. We'll just commit that last one into another electronics factory. There we go. Alright, not making a lot of money yet, but we have no adjacency bonuses going. We have a whole bunch of stuff left to deal with, so we're not going to worry about it too much. Let's start buying into our own stock just a bit, just to be safe, just to not have to worry about it too much. A geotherm would be nice. Geotherm would actually be very nice. See if we can get to that. The electronics production is going strong. This robot is in it as well, so we need to shut that down. There we go. Yeah, we can bid up on this. I think that's fine. That's as high as we go, though. That's where we push to. Okay, Wells has it. That's fine. Come on, aluminum. Do work for me, please. I would have really liked the geotherm. I maybe could have pushed a little higher, but I'm going for this kill, and so I was a bit nervous about it. Didn't want to push it too much farther. Okay, let's keep buying into Clark. So we've got 3 in Clark. Niven has 3 in Clark, and Clark has 4 in themselves. Wells is very, very low on stock price. No other scavengers in the game. I'm going to go ahead and do this. And be super aggressive about it. There we are.
The black market is online.
Got enough money sitting around that we can continue all of our production, so that's fine. And this Wells buy would be very expensive, but potentially very nice to get to. We're already halfway there. He's halfway to killing us also. Interestingly enough, so that's a bit of a concern for all parties, it looks like. And this electronics is working well. Let's go ahead and upgrade food a bit. Let's sell. Alright, I think we got the better end of that. And we're pretty close to a kill here. We're making good progress toward it. Carbon's coming in nicely, not making so much money, but enough. And the electronics is really where it's at right now. That might give us enough to go ahead and push on through to this Wells kill. And that'll set us up fairly well for the later portion of the game, potentially, if we can make it happen. Come on. There it is. Got Wells taken down. Look at all this electronics production we have now. That's absolutely fantastic. Let's go ahead and get a hacker array set up over here and an engineering lab set up. Make sure the patent lab is functioning. We're going to take slant drilling first, because that's looking pretty nice. And this steel is fine. The reactors, I think I'm going to go ahead and move out of and get back into some chems. There we are. That should all be good. Now we want to kind of be securing stock at this point. Need to be watching the Offworlds, making sure we can get to one eventually, and we need to also worry about power. Certainly. Power is a bit of a concern. So what do we want to get rid of so we can get some power? We got nuked, which sucks. Nuked in the carbon. Always a bit painful, but just kind of something you have to deal with occasionally. Let's make sure we're upgrading our chem production. We'll upgrade it to 3, I think, and that should be good enough for the time being. And let's keep buying some stock. Niven would actually be a pretty great buy. I need to be a little careful since I'm just going for stock, but I think I can make it work. Okay, Herbert's actually after us. The computer. He's not actually going to get anything done with that, but that's interesting. And what do we want to hack? We could hack electronics. We're making a ridiculous amount of them. We could also just move one of our sets of electronics out and make some power instead and just make sure we're totally secure with that. And I'm fairly comfortable with that. It's not necessarily the best play, but it's a fairly safe play, is the idea. It's a safe play. So it's nice and easy to make, nice and simple, and hopefully it'll work out reasonably well. Pirates should be decent. Silicon's up there, so we can bid on pirates, and that's alright. A lot of power production down here for this guy. And he's got superconductor, so it's working out well for him, I guess. He also has carbon scrubbing. 24,000 for pirates. Should be okay. We actually have silicon coming in right here. Let's go ahead and just grab the silicon from this guy. That wasn't well positioned. We should have positioned it down here, but that's okay. No, that was actually fine. That was good. That was good. And let's just keep buying into Niven. We should also buy into ourselves. Theoretically, that would be the best play to be safe to buy into ourselves, but we're just so dominant at this stage that I'm not sure I'm concerned about it. We did get mutinied here, and then it got turned off, which is just awkward. Spending the money to get a tile and then just turning it off. A little bit weird. But what can you do? Alright, this hacker array we should really make use of. Let's go ahead and short chems. Herbert's selling out. That's fine. Not a big deal. And I think we've got this one. I think we've got this one. Clark's a concern. Because Clark is sitting on a significant amount of money. And we need to be worried about that, for sure. No question. Absolutely need to be worried about the amount of money Clark is sitting on. So we're going to do a little bit to shut that down, just a bit. And then we're going to head into that Niven buy, which we should be able to get just about now. There we are. Okay. That's all done with. We can use a fair amount of this territory. We do not need it to be situated in the exact way it is right now, but we can use it. This is just a little awkward, all this that's going on. And it's looking like it's Offworld time. It's really looking like it's Offworld time at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and get into one of those fairly quickly. There we are. Let's see, what do we want to scrap to get that down? I think we still want the patent lab, but we don't need two of them, so let's scrap this one, get into an Offworld. Let's go for thinking machines since we're going for the Offworld. And let's go ahead and increase our carbon production a bit. There we are. Plenty of engineering labs, so that shouldn't be an issue. And we're going to go ahead and buy into ourselves now to completely secure this game. And just be super, super safe. Get at least some of our stock established. There we go. Chem short's coming through. We have a decent chem production going on since it's upgraded so much. So hopefully this will work out in our favor long term. Obviously we're not getting a whole lot out of it short term, but what can you do? And let's go ahead and just hack chems again, in fact. That's all fine. Alright. Well, that's a buy on Clark, so let's just take it. Geotherm coming up. Always nice to see. We'll go ahead and grab the geotherm. That'll let us scrap more of our power out, and that should be just fine. I'd try and make it more interesting, but I'm going to have to get some 1v1s with PB going at some point. Just to get some really good matches going. We could build a dry ice condenser or 6. That would be a good idea, I think, with carbon this expensive. Always nice to see. The Offworld's online. We're going to be sending oxygen, of course. Let's get a couple of those queued up. And start getting some buy-in on Herbert done. There we go. Alright. The chem surplus hurts, though. That's just unfortunate. Not really what we were after. Herbert might have done it himself. It's the kind of thing an AI would do. Is go for a chem surplus just to spite us, that kind of thing. But not a big deal. Not a big deal. More glass coming down. Glass obviously valuable. Yeah, chems not so much though. The chems are actually losing us money despite all their upgrades. So, what do? I think we just establish a little more glass production. We go ahead and upgrade our carbon production a bit more. Electronics, are you still making money? Yeah, just barely. Not so well, but still making money. Let's go ahead and buy into Kim's heavily because we've got a short going. Doubt we'll get punished for that with how low that price was in the first place. And the fact that everybody was kind of selling out of Kim's, hopefully maneuvering out of them for the most part. With any luck, this will work out. Although as soon as I'm at the amount, which I am, that I can buy Herbert, we will. Now it's just me and Bradbury. Bradbury's sitting on about $11,000. So we're probably just going to sit here for another minute while we let our cash reserves tick up by about 5,000 a second. And then we go ahead and clean up the game. And we didn't even buy all of our own stock this game. This is why we went for the Offworld when we did. We could have built more Offworlds, and it might have been a better option for a long-term play, but the game wasn't going to last that much longer. So the Offworld just secures everything for us at the end. And that's going to do it. GG. Sorry, my mic might have gone a little nuts. I got a little closer to it. And what I've done is I've got the mic farther away at this point, so when I move close to it, it might overload a little bit and peak out because I've got the gain turned up significantly from where it was before. So I've got to work on that. I've got to make sure I stay far enough away from the microphone. Alright guys, fairly straightforward game. Really straightforward game. We were just like, hey, upgrade electronics. Oh, that worked. Everybody's dead. That straightforward, realistically. We got through the early stages. We got a found that we were happy with, right? In the first half, so no real bonuses based on that. But we got a found we were happy with, which is nice. Got to use it exactly the way we wanted to by collecting the aluminum and the carbon and the water, getting just enough glass to push into that reactor that we needed, using the reactor to eventually make the transitions we needed to, and cleaning up the game fairly simply from there. It did not hurt that King Morgan let his debt get out of control. Absolutely did not hurt that that happened. It made the wells buy very simple and straightforward. I think even without that, we were in a good spot. I think we were in a good spot. The only thing we were lacking was silicon. We could do anything else we wanted to. Yeah, we could take a look at tech. Let's go ahead and check out tech. We had 12 tech. King Morgan had none. Indecision had 2. Who Sherlock had 3, so that's something. Herbert none. Avriel none. So yeah, I mean, tech is huge, guys. In the mid game, tech's fantastic. You gotta get some tech going if you can. Obviously, we had tech in the right spots because you can't just go tech blindly. You have to get tech in the right thing. Indecision, his tech, I imagine, he had oxygen and power, which is a bit awkward. Maybe a bit too much of a power play for Indecision. Power is always super risky. Whereas our tech, we had 3 techs initially, right? When the game mattered, when everything was on the line, we had 3 techs and they were all electronics for our 4 electronics tiles, and that was making us a ridiculous amount of money. So that was really the important thing there. That was the important thing that happened for tech, and everything else was basically just securing a strong spot in that game, was all. And that was it. It was really that straightforward. We got thinking machines, we got slant drilling, also made kind of a big deal if we hadn't gotten nuked. Even so, even though we did get nuked, right, our trace tile was still low, which was fantastic. It beefed up our water production a bit. Things like that. Slant drilling's just really, really nice overall. And we got it done. Oh, I know, right? Dry ice condensers down here, Game Slayer. Check that out. Indecision was messing around with those. But they worked that game for the most part. They worked okay.